What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Yes, it's your girl, Tanya Marie, coming to you today. Yes, with another one, y'all. Yes, yes, yes. So, Oprah Winfrey got the streets on fire, y'all. So, if you haven't heard, she's got a podcast, right, on YouTube. And right before Thanksgiving, right before the holiday season, she put out a episode talking about no contact with family members, right? Saying that it was a social media trend, honey, and the internet went wild, right? People was like, you are out of touch, way off base. You're not speaking to your target audience with that message and went right over your head. So she did go viral with that episode. It reached like 3 million, over 3 million in just a few short days, right? So we want to get into discussing it, and I'm just getting your opinions on it as well here. Did she deep dive into no contact with family members enough? Did she miss the mark? So we're going to touch base and we're going to discuss it as well, right? So Oprah Winfrey recently released her podcast episode about going no contact with family members, and it was right before Thanksgiving, which was a major holiday. All right, and honey, it struck a nerve, baby. Everybody went ham. They went ham on this topic, right? So it was because they felt like she missed the mark on there, right? So it did go viral, but for not all the right reasons that she should go viral for. So Oprah framed the episode as part of a cultural conversation, pointing out about 1/3 of Americans have cut ties with family, and that people are redefining what healthy boundaries looks like. Now, on the surface, sounds good, right? Yeah. So it's like, okay, yeah. So let's get into it. All right, she had experts, she had adult children who have gone through the no contact, and she even had parents who are struggling with the estrangement, right? So, yeah, everything on the surface looks great. All right, but here's where the episode missed the mark. It treated no contact like it was a trending phenomenon rather than a deeply personal and painful survival metric, right? So it was a trending social media epidemic and not that it was actually something real people are going through, the last step, the last boundary that they have to do for survival. So that's what she missed the mark at. So for many people, going no contact, it isn't a movement, it's a phase or a social shift, right? It's the last remaining boundary after years of abuse, neglect, manipulation, repeated harm, right? Yet the episode focused heavily on the existence of no contact as a cultural topic, right? A trend, and not nearly enough on the reasons that push people to difficult choices, right? So that we didn't talk about how do we even get here to begin with. She really didn't focus in on that segment of it. So viewers immediately pointed out that gap. While Oprah emphasized a variety of perspectives, like parents who pushed their children away, many listeners felt this softened the harsher realities, right? It risked implying mutual fault or simply misunderstanding, when in many situations the imbalance is more severe. You got narcissistic patterns, you got refusals to apologize, you got gaslighting. So y'all know, honey, that's a big one, and decades of emotional injury, right? Online responses like TT went wow, honey. They showed that the topic was truly, truly off mark. Some people agreed that open conversation did matter, but many others expressed frustration and even pain. They described trying to speak with their family members and trying to get the communication open with unresolved issues happening. So leaving no contact as the last result for them. So it's a lot of pain. People did express that as well. That they described trying everything to repair their relationship with parents who offered no accountability, no apologies, no willingness to acknowledge the harm that was caused. And then for these individuals, no contact isn't a cultural curiosity, it's a boundary that needs to happen so that they can stay alive, right? Yeah, mentally, physically. It's a lot that goes into doing no contact that wasn't really discussed in the podcast. Okay. So TT creators went further and it was like, oh, Oprah is tone deaf. She's out of touch on what's really happening. And she thinks it's just a trend, a cultural trend. Said she was gaslighting her audience by treating no contact as a trend. That's gaslighting in its rarest form. Okay, they was calling her out. They were calling her out. One TT creator reminded viewers that no contact is not a trend. It's a final decision, especially in families marked by generational trauma, narcissistic dynamics, right? Huge. That's really huge. Another pointed out that framing the topic as a mild social shift, it minimizes the genuine suffering that individuals are going through right now with such a choice. That's huge. You know, no contact for your mother, your father, or your siblings. That is really huge. That's really big. Okay. Now, one thing that we also want to discuss is how could this conversation be improved? How could she really have really targeted her targeted audience? Like, what could have made this conversation really go viral for the right reasons, right? First thing is really centering on the lived experience of those who have gone through no contact, right? Um, Not just giving examples in a sociological trend, but people who endured lots of years of emotional, physical harm, and that had to choose those boundaries. Like if she really let those individuals on stage really go into in depth on what really happened, it would have resonated with her audience. That would have said, you know what, I went through the same thing. You know, when I had a narcissistic parent, I was physically abused, I was verbally abused, and then allowed the experts to come in and give us some advice on how to handle it. What should we do next? What's the next communication? That would have really helped the conversation if she would allow more of the lived experiences to really get in depth with that, right? Second thing that she could have done better was just to be honest about the role about abuse, neglect, and generational trauma. Really get deep into it. She had the euphemisms like strained relationships or parents who push their children away. There's something deeper behind that. What's the reason behind the strained relationship? Was it abuse? Was it mental abuse, verbal abuse? Well, let's get into it. Let's be real about it. What was it? Because it's very vague, surface level conversation, right? Having real conversations and then getting real about what was the actual behavior, and then letting the experts, those on stage, talk about what we can do to change those actual behaviors and get some real resolution would have been perfect as well. And then the last thing that probably could have made the conversation or the episode much better as well was to avoid moral pressure to reconnect simply because it was the holidays. She put this episode out right during the holidays, Thanksgiving, and that will make individuals feel like, oh, well, it's the holiday time. Let me reach out to my family member that I haven't contacted in a while, not knowing it could do more damage because they haven't done any healing. The parent hasn't done any healing. And so you go and have those conversations for the holidays and y'all right back battling again for the holidays. So no resolution, more damage has been done. So making sure to reiterate, just because it's the holiday season, I am not saying that you should reach out to your family member and strike up that conversation if you haven't done the work. That should have been reiterated as well. I really do think that should have been pushed, right? Now, so people were saying that if the episode acknowledged the seriousness of these boundaries, the emotional labor behind them, and the trauma that often precedes them, that her audience might have felt or seen that it was analyzed in a better light, right? So for many people, no contact is not a trend. It is not a trend. This is a line that had to been drawn in the sand, honey, for their survival, for their mental health, for their physical health. That's something that had to be done. right? So at the heart of the issue, what the topic really wants to get out there and reiterate that no contact with family member is not a trend, right? It is not a trend. It's a last resort boundary that individuals have to make for survival. All right. So that's what should have been really pushed out there, and she really wanted to go viral for the right reasons. But yeah, y'all, I thought this was an interesting topic, especially right before Thanksgiving. Here, like I said, it went viral, over 3 million views in as little as 3 days. So I want to drop down and ask y'all, what do you think about this episode if you have or haven't watched it? Do you think that no contact with family members is a trend? Do you think that a lot of people are doing no contact now to preserve their mental and preserve their physical health here as well? Drop down in the comments. How do y'all feel about no contact with family members? Is this something that you would do if you were in that situation? Or if you are in that situation, are you in a no contact with family members as well? But yeah, I thought this was really, really good topic. I wanted to bring it to the forefront to y'all, just to see to get y'all opinion on it and let me know what are your thoughts. All right, y'all. But again, my name is Tanya Marie, here with Bold One for Life, where we want you to be unique, be different, but most importantly, just be you. Thank y'all so much for coming on in the room and blessing your girl with your presence. I hope y'all have a blessed, blessed day. All right, but ta-ta for now.